Hello Scorpio friends, I'm Annie Botticelli and welcome to my video, Scorpio September 2020 Must Knows. I love to talk about the things each month that each sign has to celebrate and the things that we have to look out for. So I'm going to go through and discuss these things for you. So I want to help you have the best month possible by knowing these things beforehand. So the first thing that Scorpios have to celebrate is the continued movement of Venus through Cancer, okay? And Venus rules love and beauty and money. And if you are a new viewer and you don't know my grandma Marge, she was one of my Italian grandmothers who would always, if you could just kind of picture her, I've always been taller than my some of my Italian family. And she always, even as a child, would like stretch her hands up to me. Right? She'd be like shorter than me somehow, grab me by the face, kiss me on the mouth, give me a meatball and some money and tell me how wonderful I am. Okay. And all of that energy really embodies the energy of Venus. We've had some rough patches with Venus in recent months because Venus had been in retrograde. And the retrograde was happening at an angle that was uncomfortable for Scorpio placements. And as I'm recording this in July, you're kind of at the tail end of this. But as we move into September, which is the month we're talking about now, you will have had August and now part of September where Venus is making a beautiful angle for you. Okay, so any things that came up as conflicts in the times of the retrograde, you may have been seeing start to smooth over. And especially here at the beginning of September, you've got kisses from Venus. So you've got kisses from my grandma Marge and a meatball or a vegan meatball or whatever you eat. It's basically representing sustenance and harmony. So I hope that you feel those boosts at the beginning of the month. All Scorpios have a chance to have positive effects from that, but those of you towards the end of the month, okay, so we'll say like the last 5 or 6 days of the sign especially, will get extra kisses. And those of you who watch for Scorpio moon or Scorpio rising, those of you who are like 25 degrees through 29 degrees, you'll get extra smooches from my grandma Marge. Okay, so the next thing that we have to celebrate is that planets are moving through Virgo. Virgo is an earth sign, and Virgo brings order and systems to emotional excess. And Scorpios can use that sometimes because being a water sign, sometimes the energy of emotion can get intense. And in June and July and August and right here at the beginning of September, we've been having a water festival, which in a lot of ways has been very good for Scorpio because it makes nice angles for your sign, but it could have been excessively emotional. And here as we have the Sun and Mercury moving through Virgo, it's like a grounding out and just like getting practical things done, practical things in order, and putting some organized systems to your creativity. And this is a theme that has been going on for a while that is going to continue, where you're grounding out, putting earth energy into your massive bank of creativity. So you are very likely going to find some things gelling in the creative departments that can be very fulfilling for you. And whether these are just hobbies or whether these are business or that you're trying to make them business, you're very likely to see advancements here. There has been a long-term storyline of these outer planets, Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn, in the sign of Capricorn, which again are making a nice angle for you. So there's this long storyline of you getting really clear about what you want to do with your creative ideas and ideals and really like making those into reality. But because there have been clashes in the stars amongst themselves in these placements, which have been actually a big part of why we've had the boom with the coronavirus and all of the crazy things that have ensued from that, those have been, sort of giving some challenges over the year. But this month, we have more to celebrate in the form of these Virgo planets, the Sun and Mercury moving through Virgo, making a nice angle for Scorpio, kissing these Capricorn planets. And all of this is in a wonderful set of angles for you. Okay, so what this means is that any trouble that was made from the mischief prior in the year has an even more profound chance of having a sweet outcome. So just like a little example of that. Let's say you are a family that all of a sudden had to start homeschooling and working from home, and it was awkward and it was difficult and it was like a really stressful emotional transition. And by now, either kids will be going back to school and that will be alleviated, or you might be going back to work and that may be alleviated, or from having been in that situation, you might find that you love homeschooling and that now this is a new blessing. You might find you love working from home and now this is a new blessing. So that's just like a small example that could be relevant for a lot of people of things that had been stressful and emotional from the prior years clashing that could turn into major sweet spots. Also, maybe you were jobless or had issues with your work and you decided to make a business a go. And you have a lot of support at this time for businesses that you have started to really start to take off. And all of this happens even within the Mars retrograde. But the big key about Mars retrograde, and this is especially poignant for Scorpio because Mars is one of your rulers. Whenever our ruler goes retrograde, we have to pay more attention because the personal effects are generally more profound. Mars is about oomph and get up and go and momentum and aggression and assertiveness. And the number one thing to not do when Mars is in retrograde, as it now officially is as of September 9th through November 14th, is to force anything. Okay, so if you can let gel the things that the universe wants to just let gel, if something's magically flowing, an opportunity comes in and you take it and it's easy, then perfectly fine. However, if it's not flowing and you try to force it, it is going to be terrible. And it could actually be very combustive and destructive if you try applying force to something that doesn't want to be forced. And it can have a boomerang effect, okay? You can definitely see more about Mars retrograde if you look in the notes underneath this video, click more, and I have my Mars retrograde blog and video, and that will help you to understand the nature of this energy the rest of the year, because it will be in effect that long. Even once it goes direct on November 14th, we still have the post-transit shadow period that it will be working its way out. But this, if you can just honor that one rule, like once you start getting frustrated and angry with trying to push something, if you just say, never mind, I'm not going to focus on that, and direct your energy elsewhere to where it's flowing, you can save yourself a significant amount of aggravation. And August was very much about kind of like learning about that energy and getting in a new mode. And hopefully by now, if you've practiced what I talked about in August and this particular theme, then you'll have things flowing much better for you this month. There are some other areas of life that are really they may have been getting hazed, but by this time you might get a boost. And these are specific for Scorpio. So this could have to do with any of your relatives, neighbors, your social circles, your work dynamic or your office dynamic or your daily dynamic, what you're doing all day. So these particular areas have been under duress and they might see a special bump right now. In general, this month is very much about, I'm calling it the big cleanup, because Virgo likes to clean up things, organize them, straighten them out, make, very tangible, positive effects in your daily experience. And with these aspects with Capricorn, it's accentuating that. And the areas of life that are looking to be cleaned up for you is in the area of your relatives, finishing unfinished business there, is in the areas of your friendships and your work and your business and your place out in the world. And for those of you who are retired or for whom work or money is not an issue or a factor, this can have to do with your life purpose, like living a purpose-driven life and your place out in the world, regardless of whether it's linked to money or career. So your friendships might need a little bit of cleanup and they might need a little bit of attention, and your social circles and your relationship with technology, and also any online-based pursuits you might see come up very strongly at this time. Now, all the things I'm talking about, unless I otherwise mention an area of, early, middle, or late degree Scorpio that would be different or accentuated, everything I'm talking about is for all Scorpio placements. And you'll notice that this month I don't have the charts up, so I apologize for that for those of you who love the visuals of the charts. I do intend for those to be back soon. As I'm recording this in July, all of these water energies are quite terrible for me, being Sag with a lot of Sag placements. And I'm just sort of getting hammered with personal things to deal with, so I don't have the extra time to be able to edit in the charts, but do know that I will bring them back so that you have the visuals in the future. But in any case, this water festival is going to be ending, and it will be ending, which is June, July, August, the beginning of September. So the heavy emotions, we're starting to step out of those more in August and then even more in September. So if you've had a very emotional time in this summer or for winter for you all down under, then you will like September because it's likely going to become less emotional, okay? And the emotional pieces that are still factoring in are likely to be positive. The Pisces full moon right at the beginning of the month is something else that is noteworthy because it is making a trine with your placement, okay? So in the first few days of September, look for an extra special boost for anything having to do with your home and family, anything having to do with your romantic relationships or kids or children or your creative efforts. Those of you who are within 5 to 15 degrees, if you're watching for your moon or rising, or like in the, let's see, like October 25th or 26th through like November 5th, and the closer you are to like the first-ish of November, the more intense, you all have special kisses from this full moon. So hopefully that will bring something to wonderful fullness for you. It is very likely to bring high emotion, but there's only one of the many aspects that are flanking this new moon that is challenging. And there are more that are sweet. So the chance for happy tears is accentuated, but there might be some other things going on there. And also, full moons tend to, especially full moons in water like this one, tend to bring water where it shouldn't be. So storms, floods, pipes breaking, things like that are more likely to happen. And so if you are in an area where that may be relevant for you, just kind of keep it on your radar to watch out for that. And also with travel. Excuse me, if you're going to a watery place, if you're going to a place that has hurricanes or something like that, you know, just kind of have it on your radar. Okay, so the next thing to note, let me see my notes here so I can stay on track, is that besides these 6 amazing aspects that can gel material things into reality for you, we also have 6 of these inconjunct or quincunx aspects this month. And I talked about these quite a bit in August. And if you haven't watched the August report, I recommend that you do that. It will actually follow this video, so it will just run right into this after. But there's a lot of awkwardness when there's a 150-degree angle, which is called a quincunx or an inconjunct angle. We have a lot of those this month, as we did in August. So August and September are very much about this energy of the baby giraffe. I use this analogy for August, and it does carry through for this month as well, where the baby giraffe basically comes out and it has to start being able to run in case a predator comes. But there's like a lot of awkwardness with those long legs and like trying to go from being born to being able to run. And so August and September are very much about finding your new normal, finding your footing, and finding our footing globally with what is our new normal. And you might find doubt comes in, okay? Doubt is very typical of this angle, and it can be uncomfortable. But if you frame it as doubt is a gift from the universe, then it can help change things for you. So if you see the areas that are cast into doubt, that is a spotlight on the areas that you need to do a little bit more work shoring up in your life so that they're not as easily cast into doubt. So there is the blessing. Something else interesting about aspects and planetary energies is sometimes they're embodied in like a person that comes in with that personality type or with that energy. So in this case, I'm thinking of the Looney Tunes Tasmanian Devil. You know, he comes in like a bat out of hell and just like destroys everything in his path and brings all this chaos and then leaves, and then it's just like craziness happened, right? So a person with this energy could come in or come back into your life, and then you get a chance, back to the theme of the big cleanup, to either clean up your relations with this person or clean up your tendency to draw in this person, or use it as a reflection to see where you might have that sort of incoherent energy within yourself that may have to be cleaned up. And I really love Byron Katie's work. It's what I'm recommending this month for inner work. Inner work is when you work on something on the inside, and for your emotional state and your mental imprinting, and then it starts to shift how you experience things externally. So Byron Katie has a book called The Work, and it's a process of inner work where she has people ask the question about something that bothers them. Is it even true? So a lot of times we worry about things either that are never going to happen or that aren't actually even true. So just kind of like using this statement, looking at something in your life and evaluating it that way, where you're casting doubt upon a perception that you have. This is a major time for changing perceptions, and this year is very much about changing perceptions, as we have all these late Capricorn placements that are like teeter-tottering with this tradition and old ways of doing things, and archaic and in some ways also patriarchal viewpoints. And we're dancing on the edge of all of this Aquarian energy, which is bringing in the innovative and the new ways of doing things. So our job, individually and collectively this year, is to be siphoning out on every level of our lives what old ways of doing things worked and what to keep with us as we move into innovation and new things, what we want to hold with us as part of the structure of the new way. And you can see this even just in your daily routine. And Virgo, since we have all this Virgo energy, is very much about that. What about your daily structure really works for you? What about your systems that you keep everything running in your life are working for you? Evaluate them, keep the things that work, and then be open to these new things. Okay, so when Mars is in retrograde, it is very important to not take on too much because the odds of you getting lazy are increased. And Mars retrograde is really a time for rest and regeneration and for just flowing with things and not taking on extra projects. If you take on a project in Mars retrograde, so this is going to hold for August, September, October, November, December, make sure that it is something that is casual or flexible. If you can help it. Some people, we're just going to have things we have to take on. It's an obligation. It's unavoidable. But for the things that you have say in, if it's casual and flexible and you can dance in and out of it as you want, then it's totally fine for Mars retrograde. Courses that have flexibility where you do them at your own pace, projects that allow you to roll in and out as you're creatively inspired, those are all perfect for this time. And any way you can take the attitude of vacation or playcation or staycation to your life or do any of those things is going to be very much enhanced this month and beyond. Although I will say that we are probably going to have some last chapters of the booms that we've been experiencing this year in October, November, and December. So in that way, September is like a still point where Jupiter and Saturn, which are part of the mischief makers, are waking up, but they haven't yet come back into close mathematical degree, which they will in October, November, December. So in September, they're waking up, but they haven't gotten there yet. So it's like a nice time where some things are brewing, some things are open to get some stuff done before we have the final chapters of the booms. And hopefully those booms will also come with solutions. But Jupiter waking up is a really big deal because Jupiter rules expansion and optimism and benevolence and good luck. So anything that you notice starting to stall out in May, those things might start to have life breathed back into them now. And you can just kind of pay attention, look back and say, what happened in May? And then just know that those things might start to get more clarity, get more momentum, get more optimism, get more expansion at this time. And specifically, this may have to do with your devices, your cars, your mobility, your physical mobility, your communication practices, some things involving relatives. And for those of you more later in the sign, like we'll call them our people that are on the edge closer to the Sag part, like the last 10 days of the sign. So maybe we'll say like November 11th through the rest of the sign. You all still have a very strong focus of Jupiter with your money sector, okay? And even some of you in the middle, like even, any November born Scorpio still has some of this energy influence of Jupiter waking up in the second house of finances. So if you've been finding that your finances have been sleeping, you might see them start to wake up at that time. And this is true for everyone in the zodiac. So any Scorpio might feel it, but there's an extra emphasis in those areas of life of Jupiter waking up in the money sectors. Okay. So we do have double the challenging aspects this month, again, like we had in August. There are some similarities this month with the energies in August, minus those two nasty aspects I talked about in August. We're not having those this month, which is a nice break and a nice part of the profile. But what is similar is that there are more challenging aspects. There are nuisance aspects. There's, roadblocks, annoyances. And so the more you can do to kind of like manage and direct your angers and frustrations that may come up, the happier you're going to be. And you can choose to take on this invitation that I give you, which is to reframe the challenging aspects that are happening in August and September as an invitation from the stars to see something a different way. So for instance, somebody I know recently got into a car accident and it was quite devastating for them. They, not physically, like they are okay. Their car is a mess. They're okay, but they lost certain freedoms from this accident, and it could have very easily spun them into hopelessness and despair. But they chose to see this as a wake-up call for certain things that they were doing that may have prompted the accident, and they chose to see it as a chance to redo everything in their lives that set them up to be in that situation, to have had the accident. And because of that, they're now experiencing that accident, which is not a good thing, right? They're experiencing it in a positive way. And so that's the type of energy that you can choose to reframe these challenging aspects and any challenging aspects in your life, looking for why they may have happened and looking for the lesson in it and looking for what may want to come from that as a positive thing for your life, like Spirit speaking to you. Spirit is always speaking to us through animals, birds that we see, signs that catch our attention as we're driving. And the more we're awake to those synchronicities, the more we're going to be able to hear the messages from Spirit, and that the synchronicities may be very, very strong this month as well, especially in the beginning time when those water planets are still making those really nice aspects with your placements. So in general, another very powerful month. This month is very complex. In fact, the write-up that I do monthly for my email newsletter group is like much longer than it usually is, because there are so many subtle factors of what makes this month make up this month. If you want to have more details, all of the sweet aspects, all of the challenging aspects, anything that you might see from those aspects, plus a write-up of the general energies of the month and things to be aware of and things to celebrate, then you can sign up at anniehelpsyou.com for my free email newsletter. I only send out 3 newsletters a month. I definitely don't spam you. I'm very careful and I really respect your space. I don't like to be spammed, so I only send out a few. And all of them have more information about how you can utilize the astrological events to your benefit. And so you can see that at anniehelpsyou.com. You also get Shine, my 28-day virtual coaching program, for free when you sign up for my free email newsletter. If you want written horoscopes by me 1 month early, and these are much more basic summaries, and sometimes they talk about different things than we talk about in the videos, or that I talk about in the videos. You can see those at cozybysweetstarlight.com. All of the links I'm giving you are also in the notes underneath the video. If you click on the More button, it will reveal all of this text with those links. My Mars Retrograde video and blog links are also there. You can search for them by putting Annie Botticelli, Mars Retrograde. If you want to check out my free courses, including Unleash Your Money Magnet, which is a course I used to have that was paid, now it's free, in my school, Luminous Life Multiversity, at lumelife.com, L-U-M-E, life.com. If you like how I teach and you want to learn astrology, either to become a professional astrologer or use it as part of your offerings or just for your own self-development and to help your friends and family, you will love my crazy comprehensive course called Becoming a Professional Astrologer Mastery Course, which you can see at lumelife.com. I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.